For 99.9% of human history, one thing ruled our world. It wasn't kings or gods or empires. It was the darkness. We think we conquered it with electricity. We were wrong. The fear of the dark was never irrational. It was a memory. It is our oldest and most primal enemy, a foe we have faced every single night for hundreds of thousands of years. It has no claws, no teeth, no voice. Its only weapon is its absence. The absence of light, which strips away our most dominant sense and leaves us vulnerable, exposed, and uncertain. So why, even in the perceived safety of our modern homes, with locked doors and electric lights just a switch away, does a simple power outage fill us with a deep, instinctual dread? Why are we, the masters of this planet, the species that has conquered every corner of the globe, still so profoundly afraid of the dark? The answer is not in our houses, it's in our blood. It is an echo from a time when the world was a very different and far more dangerous place. To understand this fear, we have to travel back in time, back to a world without walls, without cities, without the artificial sun of electric light. A world lit only by the moon, the stars, and the fragile sanctuary of a single precious fire. For our earliest ancestors, the setting of the sun was not a peaceful event. It was a declaration of war. It was the beginning of the hunt. Night was the domain of the predator. While our vision, our greatest evolutionary advantage, was rendered almost useless in the gloom, the creatures of the night were just waking up. Our eyes, designed for the rich color and detail of the daytime, were no match for the nocturnal world. The eyes of a saber-toothed tiger, a cave lion, or a dire wolf, equipped with a reflective layer called the tapetum lucidum, could gather 100 times more light than our own, turning the darkness into their perfect hunting ground. Their hearing could pinpoint the faintest snap of a twig, the slightest rustle of leaves from 100 yards away. They owned the night, and we were merely guests, intruders in their world, huddled together around a flame that seemed pitifully small against the infinite, pressing black. The darkness didn't just hide danger, it was the danger. Every shadow could conceal a threat. Every strange sound could be the last one you ever hear. The humans who survived were not the bravest. They were the most paranoid. They were the ones whose hearts pounded, whose palms sweated, the ones who stared into the blackness and imagined the worst possible outcome. This state of hyper-arousal, this fear, is what kept them alert. It kept them alive. And we are their descendants. That feeling of dread you feel in a dark room, that is the echo of your ancestors' terror, a genetic warning system that has been passed down for millennia, screaming at you to be careful. This evolutionary inheritance is so powerful, modern science can measure it. Our brains are hardwired for nyctophobia, the fear of the dark. The amygdala, the brain's ancient fear processing center, becomes hyperactive in the absence of light. Our senses are heightened, our bodies flooded with adrenaline, our muscles tensed, preparing us for a fight for our lives, even when we are just walking down a dark hallway to the bathroom. It is a survival program that has never been uninstalled. But the loss of sight does something else to our brain. It forces an over-reliance on our other senses. Our hearing becomes acutely sensitive. Every creak of a floorboard, every rustle of leaves, every distant siren is magnified. analyzed, and often misinterpreted as a threat. Our sense of touch becomes a source of anxiety. The brush of a curtain against our skin can trigger a jolt of panic. In the dark, our own senses become our tormentors, feeding our imagination with a constant stream of ambiguous, potentially threatening data. This ties into one of our most fundamental psychological needs, the need for control. In the daylight, we are masters of our environment. We can see, predict, and react. Darkness robs us of this control. We are no longer the ones in charge. We are at the mercy of the unseen. This loss of agency is terrifying. It reduces us from the apex predator to potential prey, a feeling so deeply unsettling that our brain will do anything to regain a sense of understanding, even if it means inventing monsters to explain the unknown. And when our brain doesn't have the information it needs, it does what it does best. It starts to fill in the blanks, often with our worst fears. This is a phenomenon known as agency detection. Our brain's tendency to assume that an unseen sound or shape is being caused by an intelligent agent, a someone, rather than a something. That coat hanging on your door is no longer just a coat. It's the silhouette of a man. The sound of the house settling is no longer just the house. It's the footsteps of an intruder. In the dark, this life-saving tool becomes our own personal horror movie director, casting monsters in the roles of everyday objects. This primal fear is a goldmine for modern horror. The entire genre is built on the foundation of what we cannot see. The jump scare that emerges from a dark corner. The found footage horror of a film like The Blair Witch Project, where the terror is always just outside the camera's light. The monster that lives under the bed. These aren't just movie tropes. They are direct manipulations of our evolutionary programming. Filmmakers know that the most terrifying monster is the one our own brain creates when it's left to stare into the void. This fear has not just shaped our biology, it has shaped our entire culture. For millennia, we have populated the darkness with monsters that embody our deepest anxieties. The bogeyman who hides under the bed, the creatures that lurk in the closet, vampires that hunt in the night, the jinn of the desert. These are not just children's stories. They are cultural manifestations of our inherited fear, giving a face to the nameless dread that the darkness inspires. Think of our oldest myths. The hero's journey so often involves a descent into a dark cave, a labyrinth, or the underworld itself. Light, in almost every culture and religion on Earth, is a symbol of goodness, knowledge, and divinity. Darkness is the symbol of evil, ignorance, and chaos. It is the oldest and most universal story we have ever told ourselves. So, our fear of the dark is a ghost of our evolutionary past, a time when the night was filled with real monsters that hunted us. It's a glitch in our modern minds, a survival program that is still running, long after the original threat has gone. It's a cultural echo, a story we have been telling ourselves since the first fire was lit to push back the shadows. It's a chilling reminder that in the oldest and deepest parts of our minds, in the ancient architecture of our own brains, the sun has not yet risen. If you enjoyed this journey, don't forget to like, subscribe, and join us as we continue to uncover the secrets of our world in history and beyond.